Good evening, everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. And this is our second virtual meeting and our regular meeting for the month of April. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Anaya to read the Open Public Meetings Act statement, please.
On Wednesday, January 8th, 2020, notice of this meeting was sent to the press and the Current of Egg Harbor Township. Notice was also delivered that day to the Egg Harbor Township clerk and posted on the bulletin board in Township Hall.
Thank you. May we have roll call, please?
Mr. Della Barca.
Here.
And Mr. Ellis. Mrs. Gilbert Floyd.
Here.
Mr. Price.
Mr. Price is here.
Mrs. Sullivan.
Here.
Mrs. Summer.
Here.
Mrs. Salagi. Mrs. Bird.
Present.
And Mr. Castellano.
My screen's black.
Here. At this time, I'd like to ask us all to please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance together. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. At this time, I'm going to ask Ms. Anaya to walk us through some of the mechanics of how a virtual meeting will work.
We thank you for your patience as we work through this new virtual board meeting as part of our response to the Governor's Stay-at-Home Executive Order number 107. This meeting is streaming live on our website with a 30-second delay. The person speaking will be displayed and public comment will be via telephone. To call in and ask a question or make a comment, please dial 609-653-0100, extension 1417 during the public portion of this meeting. Please do not leave a voicemail message for public comment as it will not be received. Continue to call until you reach the live operator moderator. Due to call volume, this may require you to attempt to call multiple times. Please anticipate a 30-second delay for broadcast to reach stream.
Thank you very much, and we again ask that everyone please bear with us as we work through the technology. Hopefully each week we'll get a bit better at it. So moving now, I would like to ask for a motion on the minutes, and that would be 2.1 through 2.4. May I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Della Barca?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes.
Mr. Ellis has arrived at the meeting. Thank you. Mrs. Gilbert Floyd? I saw her earlier. Give her a minute.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd, yes.
Thank you. Mr. Price?
Mr. Price, yes.
Mrs. Sullivan? I saw her earlier. I'll come back. Mrs. Summer?
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi? And Mrs. Bird?
Yes.
Mr. Castellano?
Yes.
And back to Mrs. Sullivan. I did see her online earlier. I see
What
her
are we
online.
voting? Excuse
For
me,
the
what
minutes.
are we voting on? My computer went down.
We are voting
Yes.
for the minutes. Okay, thank you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Before I introduce Dr. Gruccio for her superintendent's report, I'd like to take a brief moment, as I did last week, just to say thank you to our faculty and staff. Thank you for your excellence, thank you for your dedication, and thank you for your hard work. I want to thank Dr. Gruccio and Miss Anaya for their leadership. I want to thank Mrs. Hauk Elko for her wise counsel to us through all of this. I want to thank board members for working hard and working through all the trials of technology and virtual meetings and everything else we've had to deal with. As I mentioned and said last week, despite difficult times, there is good news here in our district. Our students are learning. We've provided thousands of meals to students who need them. We've been providing help and support, Chromebooks, advice, and guidance to our students and to our families. And I just want to take this opportunity again, as I did last week. If you need anything and you're watching or listening, if there's anything we can do for you, please contact us and we'll do the best we can to help you. So with that, again, thank you to our faculty and staff. You're doing a great job, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Gruccio for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Castellano, and good evening, everyone. So good to see everyone again, and hello out there in virtual land. Thank you for joining us. And usually at this point of our meeting, I leave the dais and I come down on the floor and do a presentation that includes a video. This evening is going to be a little different. At this point, we cannot share videos through this Google Meet. So tonight's report will be adhering to the new normal and making alterations to this routine. I'm going to take a moment to take advantage of some PR right now for our district newsletter. Every Monday, we release something called a S'mores newsletter. It's released on social media, and it's housed under the Superintendent's Corner on our webpage. So here goes. I'm going to attempt now to present. Does everybody see that? Are we seeing that? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what the S'mores newsletter looks like. Well, I open every letter with our current reality, and I'm not going to read it to you, but I'm going to just highlight what the focus is. And it's just me sending a message to our school community how very proud I am, how everyone has come together and has really made virtual learning something that's happened, and it's going well. I also stress the focus on being positive and grateful for the wonderful and kind acts that folks have done, teachers, administrators, parents. They include videos and messages and stadium lights. And in these tough times, I realize that sometimes people are anxious and depressed and lonely, but these are gestures that people do to put smiles on people's faces, and particularly our students. And they are very grateful for all that has been done, and there's more to come, which I will share. We've also linked the district website in our banner now that's running. It's a green banner, and it's like one-stop shopping. It'll give you resources for parents in the community on grading, Chromebooks, food services, and our staff directory. Then we break down the sections into student achievement, climate and culture, and community pride, just like I do when I present in the boardroom. I'm very proud to share here our virtual learning schedules, and each day we post one on social media, but here you can collectively see the schedules K-12. We have a grading update. Also, there's a link here for the letter that was sent out for grading, but it breaks down from PK, 4, 5, and 6 through 12, so parents can read that. We also advertise our high school drop ad. It's our second drop ad, and it runs between the time of April 27th and May 1st for our high school students to drop a course or add a course. We have information about our advanced placement testing and when that's going to occur. There's links there for parents and students. virtual college exploration. I thought this was really cool. Our guidance department put this together so students, particularly juniors, have the opportunity to explore colleges. There's 450 colleges available free for students to learn about. We have our middle school electives. There's a letter to parents and also instructions for parents and students to follow to select their middle school electives for the next school year. Moving to climate and culture. Here again, I stress how proud I am about the United School family that we have, particularly our cafeteria staff and our custodians who come out a couple times a week to prepare foods, over 10,000 meals this week, and on Mondays, along with our transportation department and our security guards, the food is delivered or distributed. So great job. We appreciate your work, being our essential workers and being there for our students. We also highlight our Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know if you follow this, but you should. Every day on social media, you can see a different family or student or teacher, faculty member who was standing proud and saluting the flag and presenting the Pledge of Allegiance to our school community. Be the light for the class of 2020. What a great positive move that the high school administration and faculty came from a teacher's idea, presented to the administration. We support that. Again, it's not a time, nor is it us promoting a gathering. This is just to show our EHT pride and how we are EHT strong for these students, and no one here can say that we've experienced a senior year such as this. So let those lights shine bright for 20 minutes for the class of 2020. Social, emotional, and mental health support resources are available. This is very, very important. As I said, people are anxious, depressed, lonely. Students may be getting cabin fever. So here's some parent resources of how to talk to their children about the COVID situation and the resources that we provide for assistance. Teacher-made videos. Each week we will highlight 2 teacher-made videos, and every school has made videos for their students. Here's a Boston Marathon comes to Egg Harbor Township. Our teacher, Stephanie Vandenberg from Davenport Elementary School, was set to run in the Boston Marathon. As we know, that was postponed. So Stephanie didn't put all that training to waste. She went out and ran that marathon, those 26 miles plus, throughout Egg Harbor Township, Northfield, and surrounding communities. And we're very, very proud of her. Here we have Earth Day celebrates its 50 years this year, and Mr. Martirone went to the high school outside and read a story that he reads every year to his students, and didn't let him down. He had that reading outside the high school. Our community partnerships, right here you can find the meal distribution information. We have our breakfast and lunch programs, our delivery locations, and pickup sites. Free and reduced meal program information. If your family circumstances have changed due to COVID, you can apply online. Just get on our website and the information is there. Also, there's support from the Atlantic County Food Bank. Every Hand Together, Pursuing Public Health. This week we feature child abuse prevention, and you can enjoy a presentation by Mr. Santilli and his guests, and to assist you and become educated on Child Abuse Prevention Month. Right here we talk and we showcase our virtual board meetings. Hopefully by now most of you know how to get on. If not, information and directions here. And hashtag EHT Strong as we join together with EHT Parks and Recs and the Mayor's Wellness Campaign and support the decorating of the home and properties with that EHT pride. Moving on to athletics, our Egg Harbor Township 2017 Girls Championship, State Championship softball team not only walks proud of that championship, but now have been champions of the Atlantic City Press best high school team since 2000. And thank you to all the voters who participated in that voting competition. That certainly was a fun time, and very proud again of our athletes. They appreciate that. Here I have a message to our student athletes, finding performing arts students and member of the extracurricular clubs, to let them know that, we miss them and we understand that they miss us. And, our campuses are quiet without them performing and our fans cheering. So I gave them a little, little talk to give them some encouragement to keep on practicing, because hopefully it's going to pay off, and we're going to get back to school, and we're proud of them. And I'm in tune with their Google Classrooms, and I can see their practice schedules and how they're responding to their coaches. So I'm very proud. And here we have our athletic trainer, who every day provides stretches and exercise routines for the athletes so they can stay in shape and out of any athletic injuries. And finally, at the end, you'll find our weekly digital newsletters from our schools. So if you want to even dig deeper to find out the intricate things that are going on in each one of our schools, as well as our gifted and talented program and our libraries and our nursing services, just come on over here, click these links, and that'll take you even further. So I invite you to join us in traveling through this virtual newsletter. I think it's one-stop shopping and very informative, and again, aligns to our district learning goals. Okay, Mr. Castellano, that's the superintendent's report.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Castellano, it's Barbara Szilagyi. Apparently the board secretary didn't know if I was here or not, but I'm here, and I voted yes for the minutes.
Oh, very good. Good. Thank you and welcome. We're glad you're here. Now, at this point, then, I'm going to thank Dr. Gruccio for that presentation, as always, and I think it really reinforced what I had said at the outset. You know, thank you to our faculty and staff. Just keep up the great work. You know, I couldn't be more proud of you. So we have a treat tonight. And next, we're going to hear from our student representatives, Grace and Nick, or Nick and Grace. Sounds like a TV show. Whichever order we'd like to use are both with us. And we're looking forward very much to hearing your perspective on how things are going. So
thank you very
please
much.
Take it away with whatever you'd like to share.
Well, I would just like to say hello to everybody, and I hope everyone is all right this evening. Before we start, with our report, we reiterate what Dr. Gruccio had said. We just want to personally thank all of you, the members of the board and other members of the administration, because, we really do understand, these are really unprecedented times. And we appreciate the hard work that you're doing, because it's such a scary time and a difficult time, and you are the beacons of this community. So we do personally thank you for that, members of the board and administration.
Thank you, and it's a really strange time, and I know I feel that, and I know everyone feels that, and I can provide little comfort to you guys as much as I would like to comfort the entire community. But I want you to know, I'm constantly thinking of you guys, and especially last month, it was weird to not be there in person, but I'm hoping for the best for all of you, and I do miss seeing you guys in person a lot. So nothing but the best for you guys. Thank you. But anyway, we'll keep the formalities brief tonight. So I'm just going to start by reiterating Dr. Gruccio with the Be the Light. The high school began lighting up the stadium on the 22nd from 8 p.m. to 8:20 p.m. To honor the class of 2020. And personally, and as many as my classmates have said, the recognition is really appreciated as we try to wrap our heads around the entire situation. So thank you.
Yeah, in addition to that, during all of this, you have the staff and students, and they're making videos, and they're just trying to keep that positive nature, trying to keep the community in and I would argue a mentally healthy state, keeping the hopes up of not only the younger children, but the parents too, and the virtual classes and positive videos are really helping with that.
To add on, I've enjoyed hearing from my classmates about how we're still having virtual learning, but we're also having virtual presenters. So I wrote down the MSA classes, Medical Science Academy, they're still having guest speakers. One is Christian Dupree Ragland from Atlantic Care. and Michelle D'Arcangelo, who is an after-call hours nurse, as well as the culinary classes, who have Shelf Kelly McClay, who is the Dean of School of Culinary Arts at ACCC. So I just think that's incredibly wonderful that we're still having that kind of hands-on experience, as much as it's not, but it's nice to hear from other people. And I think especially from nurses and medical staff right now to hear their personal experiences, I think it's extremely educational, and it's a great opportunity for the students.
And on a more final note from myself, I just wanted to, and I didn't get the opportunity to, but for all those who do celebrate Passover and Easter, I do know it is quite late, but I hope everyone had a very safe and good holiday there. And in addition, Earth Day was recently, so I hope that had everyone's spirits up. So, yes.
So that basically is all we wanted to say tonight. Just a few positives in not a very positive time. So we just wanted to point out the things that are keeping us going, and hopefully you have those things in your life that are keeping you going. So just stay strong and please stay healthy, because I would really like to see you all in person again. And I give my best to the community members and everyone watching out there. Just stay healthy, and our hearts are with you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you guys both very much. It's great to see you. It's great to hear from you. Of course, you know, we're here for you and all the students. That's why we do this. You're our bridge between the student body and the board, and it's just was really a treat for me to get to see and hear from you guys again tonight. And it's been a while, and we missed you too. And I'm so glad that the things we're doing in the district are of help to you, and hopefully to our students as well. I believe they are. So thank you again, and please, as always, feel free to chime in as we move through the meeting with any more thoughts that you may have. And again, it's really great to see you guys, and be safe and be well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You as well.
Okay. At this point, we are going to switch gears a little bit, and we are going to begin our we are going to begin on budget item number 5, which is our 2020-2021 budget hearing. Now, what will take place before I introduce Dr. Gruccio, I'd just like to mention that we did receive questions from several board members, and I have asked Dr. Gruccio and Ms. Anaya to address them through the presentation, and I believe that they will. And I think the presentation will be enlightening for everyone. So with that, we're going to begin our public budget hearing, and I'm going to introduce Dr. Gruccio to start off the presentation.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Castellano. And just as you said, in just a moment, Ms. Anaya and I will present the 2021 school budget proposal. But before we do, I'd like to emphasize a few things. I want to emphasize first that we are aware of these unprecedented times. However, we are also aware of our most precious assets, our students. Our students who need us now more than ever, and who will really, really need us when we get back to school. This budget provides essential resources for our students, resources needed in order to educate, provide meals, transport to and from school, provide all types of programs, athletics, fine and performing arts, as well as support for educators. All are necessary for our students to be educated in our school district. I want to take this time to thank all who have contributed to building this budget, from supervisors to our principals and our central office team. especially our business administrator, Ms. Chandra Naya, whose financials knowledge is and should be valued. She's worked very hard to match numbers to the resources that are needed and has made them fit into a box in which we have to live. This process is a monumental task, and I'd like to review it a little bit. We began last fall budgeting. We held town hall meetings to get our community stakeholders' feedback, which is very important to us. We met with supervisors and principals again and again. We took the information and spent many hours as a central office team making it fit. And this included nearly over $6 million worth of cuts made to balance this budget. That was a lot of time and a lot of number crunching, not to mention the anxiety that we felt as we tried to balance the needs of all. We are pleased to present this balanced budget, which is aligned to the Board of Education's approved strategic plan. It's framed around our district learning goals. It's based on data. It's designed to improve student achievement, focus on climate and culture, and it builds upon their community partnerships. This budget meets the needs of the Egg Harbor Township community. This budget listened to school community stakeholders, and it includes full-day kindergarten, resources for our special needs students in order to meet their IEPs, and it provides personnel and other curricular resources. Allow me to add that this budget was presented to the Board of Education in February and again in March. It was approved for submission to the Atlantic County Department of Education. It was approved by the Atlantic County Business Administrator and Superintendent as a comprehensive balanced budget that provides a thorough and efficient education to the children of Egg Harbor Township. I will emphasize that we, Egg Harbor Township School District, take our advice from the Atlantic County representatives of the New Jersey Department of Education. They are our governor body when it comes to our school district. And while we are in uncertain times, we are advised to stay the course. Please know that we do not take the struggles of this community lightly. We are here to offer support systems. We have food, technology, and social emotional supports in place. We are presenting tonight a fiscally responsible budget that meets the needs of our Egg Harbor Township school community. And let it be known, at any point we are advised to reopen an approved budget, we will follow the directive to do so. But I caution you that making any cuts now could put us in a place where we are forced to make cuts on top of the cuts that we would make. And that would certainly be detrimental to our students, staff, and the entire Egg Harbor Township school community. Ms. Anaya, let's now begin the presentation on the 2021 school budget.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, start the presentation. Okay, it says I'm sharing, so I'm going to go ahead and start. Again, thank you, Dr. Gruccio, on the Board of Education and the community for participating in this 2020-2021 budget hearing. As Dr. Gruccio mentioned, this has already been approved by the Department of Education and is now being presented by the both of us. I want to thank the board members. Serving as a volunteer is not an easy job, representing the community of Egg Harbor Township and taking into consideration all stakeholders as they make the decision making policies as well as voting on this budget. As Dr. Gruccio mentioned, we created this budget with a framework, starting with a strategic plan that was established, a 3-year plan to get the Egg Harbor Township School District moving forward with student achievement and meeting our goals in our district. It is available online. From the strategic plan, annually, the Board of Education creates goals. And these goals help set the framework of the expectation of the board to administration. From the board goals, we create district learning goals to give guidance to our administration to implement student achievement and what we have as a focus from the strategic plan, board goals, and these district learning goals. We mentioned we started the process in the fall. This year we had each and every curricular supervisor and department head come and present to the Board of Education their plans for the future, for the present and the future in their specific areas. This highlighted resources that would be needed, goals they are set to achieve to get the students more advanced in their area. Then the board had a very hard job. We had to present to the board and to the community several budget presentations along the way, starting with just the fundamentals of Budget 101. We called that presentation Budget 1, and that represented budget mandates and things that we knew that we had to fit into this box before we even got state aid numbers. The next meeting was on March 3rd. That was with budget, a balanced budget considering state aid. And from that moment forward up until today, we have constant conversation of what is in that budget and how to best meet our student needs. Today is on March 28th, and we are having our budget hearing. And the next steps really include the submission to the county office, their approval, and going to up to the state. Then the state is going to be doing their budget work this summer, and we are told that the final state aid determination will be on August 25th. What that means is we got a preliminary number at the end of February, increasing our budget by about $6 million. However, during these times and other things to consider, the state was then going to be balancing their budget and making our state aid final in August. So things may change, and as Dr. Gruccio had mentioned, if things change between now and then, we are able to then reopen the budget and consider a new balanced budget. So just a quote here, it says, we are investing, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And that's from Benjamin Franklin. So how do we invest in knowledge? Basically, on the screen on your left-hand side shows our balanced budget, how we got there based on the revenue sources. We have revenue sources from state aid, about $54 million. The federal sources is a SEMI program, basically reimbursing for Medicaid students to get services while they're in school. Then we have local source revenue, for example, use of facilities, preschool tuition, as well as tuition from other schools, and interest payments, as well as selling solar. The solar panels we have on our buildings, we get to sell the credits. And then we apply something called excess surplus, and this $3 million is basically the savings from the 2018-19 budget goes towards this 2021 budget. And then we have the local levy of $81 million. Of that $81 million required from the levy, we have basically a tax increase of this year about 4.5 cents. A tax levy increase, what does that mean for the average taxpayer? Well, if you have a $100,000 home, the increase to you would be about $45, which comes out to be less than 13 cents a day and less than $3.66 per month. If you have an average of a $200,000 home, it's at $89 for the year for a $200,000 value home, which is less than 25 cents a day. What that means is the new things that we incorporated into this budget with the increase we're recommending, it's going to just cost you guys 25 cents a day, and you will see the value of that investment in a very little bit. So the ability, this is basically forward-thinking philosophy, the ability to sit in the shade now means someone planted a seed a long time ago. So we're planting seeds now for the investment in our future, and that is our value proposition. Just in case you didn't know, it was our value proposition. Current enrollment, this budget is based on current students in district of 7,300 students. We do have about 400 to 500 students that are out of district at ACIT, charter schools, as well as special ed placements, things like that. The money that you invested in basically covers our existing programs for those students listed on this screen. This budget is keeping what we already have and then expanding into additional things that we'll be discussing. So as you can see, we do offer quite a bit with your investment. But here is what's new. We did have, as Dr. Gruccio mentioned, this budget does include full-day kindergarten. There are some additional staff needed, and as well as the benefit costs. And then we also expanded our curricular resources in order to meet our district goals. And I will now turn it over to Dr. Gruccio.
Okay, thank you. I want to spend some time here on one of our biggest initiatives of full day kindergarten, and how this was a collaborative effort to work through this whole process. It began with research in the fall, listening to stakeholders, hearing the support from parents, teachers, or EHT, EA, and we soared forward in the research. At the turn of the year, we presented to the board and asked for their opinion. Do we want to move forward or not? And we were given the green light to move forward with the research. So I just want to share, as Chandra, as you could go to the next slide, some of the research. Okay, Chandra spoke of the value propositions. So the implementation of full-day kindergarten in our school district will provide students, parents, teachers, and the district and the community with various opportunities: academic abilities for students, social-emotional opportunities. Parents who work outside their home now have better support for their students by eliminating that half-day disruption to their world. Teachers now have additional time to develop stronger student relationships, and which is very critical for the development of the whole child. And the district now can be geographically compared in the market to attract new families, and it also allows for our preschool expansion funding, which you've heard we cannot apply for that grant unless we have full day kindergarten. In the community, it will be provided opportunities to continue to prosper in a diverse and exemplary community in which we are. Next. The benefits of full day kindergarten, this was shared in our stakeholder meetings, but in case you weren't there to join us and you're new to this information, I'd be glad to quickly share that full day kindergarten is beneficial. Educators definitely know that children who experience full day classes have greater reading and math achievement gains. Research has demonstrated that these early education programs produce a 3-to-1 return on the investment, which means is that you eliminate future costs that are related to remediation or retention or special services programs that have to be put in place for students who are behind. Full day kindergarten also shows an increase in academic learning time as it prepares for the mastery of first grade reading and writing and math skills. And we hear from our teachers that our students coming to them need some more time in these areas. The development of skills that support the social and emotional and problem-solving skills can all be learned in kindergarten. Also, research tells us that higher test scores, particularly in reading in the early grades, are seen with full-day kindergarten, fewer retention, higher achievement for the disadvantaged and low-income student as they are receiving those Title I, and those who are receiving Title I services, but the full-day kindergarten embraces their needs and gets them on the track they need to be on. This longer day provides for more curricular consistency for our district by allowing more time spent in individualized instruction, greater progress for social skills for all our students, higher self-esteem and independence is built, expanded innovation and creative opportunities through STREAM lessons, and we plan to start that in the kindergarten level. Right now with the half day, we touch upon it, but there isn't the time to really dive into it. Students also will have that access to the nutritional breakfast and lunch. And overall, it's a more relaxed, less hurry school day that offers varied experiences for our students that they truly deserve. From a teacher's perspective, and this comes from the National Education Association, and there's different quotes here, but the full day kindergarten eases that transition into first grade. The longer school day offers flexibility to do more activities and get more of a full curriculum. By participating in full day schedule, it allows appropriate challenges for children at all developmental ages, and particularly with the delays of at-risk kids as they're experiencing some possible problems. It assists with them, getting them again on track for that first grade. Having more time made child assessment and college record keeping, classroom record keeping more manageable for teachers. And finally, switching to full day kindergarten gives teachers more time for curriculum planning, incorporating that greater number of thematic units, and offers more in-depth coverage of those curricular units. So demographic data here, just to share a little bit of data. Almost half of our students qualify for free and reduced lunch. So students who are eligible for this free and reduced lunch program are often less likely to have access to preschool and kindergarten programs. And this was data that, really opened our eyes because we feel that our students should have access to those early educational opportunities so that they are not set off to start off behind, and that they're on the track that they need to be on track, the track that they're supposed to be on. Students or children these days are in school at the ages of 3 and 4, full day learning experience. Come take them from kindergarten, it's a half day experience, and they're back to a full day experience. So we'd like to keep that continuity with that full day educational experience. Chandra?
Okay, I'm hoping you can hear me. I just unmuted a different way. All right, I'm going to start talking. So go ahead.
Okay. All right, this is just some sample work for a half-day program versus a full-day program. It's student work, and this is what we're saying. This isn't to make fun or bash anything, just shows you a difference. When you have more time in a program, you go from letters and the attempt to create words that you hear to full sentences. Next. So our financials. Now I want to start at the bottom here, because in the fall, when we dove into this project, we presented an estimated cost of about $2.8 million. And that was just ballpark. But when the board gave us the go-ahead to dive deeper in this research, we were able to take a laser-like focus on staff and look at efficiencies and condense different areas. So we come up with staff, we have curriculum needs. We, beg, borrow, and steal from wherever we could to see what we could supply kindergarten with. And that includes facilities and furniture and classroom needs. So when we budgeted and we sharpened our pencil, the total is now 1.5. So there's a lot of savings in there by doing the research and sitting in the conference room and doing a lot of work on this topic. Along with the full-day kindergarten staff projection, there's some additions here. So in the fall, it looked like we needed 12 additional certified classroom teachers. We now need 4, and that was looking and working on efficiency. 3 ICR teachers are needed, 2 health and PE teachers, 2 specials teachers full-time, and 2 special teachers part-time are needed so that we can implement full-day kindergarten. And that's meeting IEP needs as well. So here's a quote, attempting to repair reading skills in 4th grade is far more expensive and risky than guaranteeing good reading skills in kindergarten. And how true that is. Why wait 3-4 years when the problem has escalated and grown, when we can work on it and deal with it at the kindergarten level, give kids what they need, assess kids, see what their needs are, if they need any remediation or differentiate instruction. That happens in the lower early learning grades, such as kindergarten. Next. Moving on to other components of our budget, the new district staff positions are needed for continuing our support services. And our special ed department was put to task to find efficiencies, but also to look at their data and look at their needs in meeting our students and their IEPs, which, as you know, is something we follow. It's a legal document, and it's for the betterment of the child. So we have positions here from ICR, LCR educators, the behavior specialist, occupational therapist, speech therapist, physical therapist, the director of special ed, moving a current supervisor from 10 to 12 months, and then we have security guards to adhere to our safety and security initiative, and an additional position that moves from part-time to full-time for our station manager. And boy, do we know we need that, being in this virtual world and communicating with the world through our TV station and our social media. It is 24/7, and those folks are doing a great job, and shout out to them for doing what you're doing now. Thank you. And 3, curricular resources. We have a creative curriculum edition update. This is for our kindergarten program, as it is a program that has to do with creative play and creative curriculum for preschool, and it's teaching early learning through discovery and creativity. Our XIL math pilot for grades 5th and 6th for math intervention. We need to update our AP social studies text, our science stream lab supplies, our need, lots of innovation going on at the middle school, and our Fontes and Pinnell classroom for K-2 instructional supplies. This is needed so we can be fully aligned to our K-12 ELA curriculum and help support teachers with implementing all our strategic plan points for student achievement. IMAX are needed for the Comm Academy. We cannot load them with any new programs because they're that old. They're over 10 years old and they will not take any of the new programs. Our CTA program is advancing into aviation, robotics, computer programming, and that is a part of the middle school elective process. Parents will see that on there. Updated health instructional materials for K-5, and finally our ELL program in their WIDA assessment online needs some assistance to broaden that resource. What do we have next there? So before Ms. Anaya takes over, I just want to stress that, as you know, we are a proud Egg Harbor Township School District. We're every hand together. We're about every child every day. And we will embrace these challenges. We will engage in what needs to be done. And I promise you, we will continue to educate our children. So being #EHT strong, I hope that what was presented thus far makes sense, answers questions, and allows you to see that a lot of work went into this that's aligned to the district learning goals and for our precious assets, our students of Egg Harbor Township. Chandra. Unmute. Excuse me, Chandra, can you unmute?
I was told I was muted. Somebody muted me, so sorry about that. I didn't realize that happened.
Okay.
I used my keyboard. Okay, so can we use savings for this year's budget? For the budget being presented was one of the questions. In a nutshell, yes, there are some identified savings that we are able to see, knowing, okay, we won't be running buses, for March and April. Beginning of May, spring sports at least missed half their season. There are some utility savings and some instructional supplies from the budget freeze in the fall. That is all based on, what can change if school reopens. Those numbers are very, very much unknown. The biggest piece is the year's not over. We won't know until the summer audit of 2020 how much we will have in true savings for this year's budget. And then after that, it's actually put towards the 2022 budget. So some of the other factors, if we return to school from social distancing, some part of the unknowns has to do with an alternate schedule that's been floating around. We will need additional food service staff. We may need additional transportation costs that are not expected, as well as additional staff. Compensatory services is a reality. PPE expenses for staff and students. Are we going to wear masks when we come back? Nursing and medical staff and technology, cleaning and sanitizing that may be needed. Those are all unknowns at this point if we have to come back to school this year. Also, a bigger concern is, we are self-funded. Right now, there's a legislature out there about furloughs going on in governments, whether it's police or teachers, and a government has been speaking on it. If that recommendation does go through, we could see a spike in unemployment claims. Well, our unemployment fund is self-funded. That's an unknown amount that impact would have. as well as COVID claims could spike for our staff or members of our census, which is anybody who has insurance for our school, because we are self-funded with our health insurance as well. It's a little scary. And basically that answers that piece of that question. Basically, what we have on this agenda is the board resolution, basically recapping everything that Dr. Gruccio said. And, you know, families do stand at the center of our society, and every family has a personal stake in promoting or prompting excellence in education, excuse me. And that is from Ronald Reagan. This budget being proposed is actually on this agenda. I really just want to close out by thanking everybody in the business office and central administration. Dr. Gruccio did mention the principals and supervisors, program directors, and really the community, all of the community members that did come out for our stakeholder meetings in the fall. Your insight was valued, and we do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Anaya. Mr. Castellano, that is our 2021 budget presentation, and I turn the screen over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio, Ms. Anaya, for a fantastic presentation. Comprehensive, enlightening, and inspiring. And I appreciate all of your efforts very much, and we all do. At this point in the meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to open up for first public comment on the budget only. So we will open for public comment on the budget only, followed by board member comment on the budget only, and then we will move into comment on other portions of the agenda. So again, this will be public comment on the budget, please.
There is a 30-second delay, so we are going to wait for this to hit the live stream, and then we can anticipate the phone to ring. So we will leave this message up as instructions. Once we have the calls coming in and the last call comes in, we will wait a complete minute to make sure there's no other calls coming in. Name and address, please.
It's me again, Chandra.
It's name and address. You're now in queue. Go ahead. You're on live stream.
Katarina Bechtel, 115 Winnipeg Avenue.
Go ahead with your comment.
Hello. I am calling to ask the Board of Education to reevaluate the goals and priorities of this budget based on the needs of the community right now, the needs of the COVID-19 issues, and I want to discuss what you plan to cut in August when state aid figures will undoubtedly be reduced, especially if the new aid coming in is $6 million. I think it's a little disingenuous to say that you've been through all these presentations through September and January and February when COVID wasn't even an issue in January and February here in Egg Harbor Township. Even Stockton University has reevaluated their goals and priorities and have put off an expansion. I'm not going to argue the benefits of full-day kindergarten, but what I'm saying is now is not the time. Because you cannot tell this community on August 28th that you can't do full-day kindergarten. And I want to know where you have the $1.5 million to do it if state aid does get cut. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bechtel, for your comment. greatly appreciated.
Okay, name and address, please.
My name is Jim Burke, 305 Arrowhead Drive in Egg Harbor Township.
Go ahead with your comment.
Okay. First of all, I'd like to quickly thank the Dr. Gruccio, her staff, Board of Education, and particularly our business administrator, Chandra Anaya, for all the support and things they've done for our children and our families. I'm sure all the board members obviously are aware of the educational community's point of view in terms of the value of full-day kindergarten. Obviously, tonight's research and information helps push that. As this effort reverberates from grades 1 through 12 in terms of getting full-day kindergarten into our school, and it will positively affect our children, family, and the community. As we know, the implementation of full-day kindergarten is the number one priority of our families, as identified through many meetings and information sessions, strategic planning meetings, our special board meetings. Quite a bit of time has been invested in identifying this important need. And my comment is basically your follow-through tonight. The Board of Education will show your commitment to the education and the welfare of our children, and that you listened in to your constituency. As Mrs. Wasden said at the last meeting, who was the head of the Teachers Association, as we all know, we need to complete the circle of trust and pass full-day kindergarten. And there's never been, a better time, even in these unusual circumstances, to invest community resources in our children. This is the time to make that difference. Financially, as Mrs. Anaya had pointed out, this makes a lot of sense in terms of certainly going to cap on this budget vote, which will, without doing that, would lock our losses into perpetuity. But also the reasonable cost of this full-day kindergarten program, and particularly the fact that we will be getting funding back, especially in the special area of special education, preschool education, for investing in full-day kindergarten. I encourage the board members that they're making history tonight with full-day kindergarten. This will benefit not only our children, their families, and will elevate our school system to a new higher level of effectiveness. The board will always be remembered for this vote tonight, of course, and again, we want to complete the circle and vote yes on full-day kindergarten. Our Egg Harbor Township families are watching, and I'm just saying I'm very confident that the board will make the right decision and vote for the budget and, of course, the full-day kindergarten program, and will affirm all our efforts over the past 3 years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your comment, sir.
There were several calls during that call, so I will wait for the next one to come in. Okay, name and address, please.
My name's Terry Alabarda, and my address is 206 Westwood Road, Egg Harbor Township.
Go ahead with your comment.
Thank you. I'm calling tonight to support the budget, and throughout the years I have heard all the people of Egg Harbor Township say that we need full-day kindergarten, and now that, we've heard from the community, we have it set up, we really need to support it at this point. And I know that our future is unknown right now, but with the breakdown, it's only a few dollars a day, or actually a month, for a house that's even worth $200,000. It's something that will save us money in the long run because we won't have as many tier 2 and tier 3 interventions as we would if we don't have full day kindergarten. And I also want to add in that we need to keep as much funding for the arts open too, because a lot of the students, they aren't sports or into sports, and even the kids that are, that with the uncertainty that we have right now, the kids use music as an outlet. And I was lucky enough to go on the trip up to New York recently before everything happened, and the judges, they said what a wonderful program we have at Harvard Township, and that they do not usually hear students that are so good from middle school level. So I'm asking for support for the budget that it should pass, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, you are on stream. Name and address, please.
Hi, Suzanne Griffin, 232 Heathercroft, EHT. I'm going to keep it simple. I just really want to say I hope that you guys support this budget and the full day kindergarten. As a parent, I see the difference of what half day versus full day does for the kids. They don't all get to go to preschool, and 2 hours is not enough to learn what is expected in kindergarten. So please, please consider adopting this budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Kathy Watson. I'm calling in to express my strong concern that the board vote in favor of this budget. I do listen to the township residents, and I know everyone's fears right now, but even August, the date in August when the governor is to give us our aid is unknown. That is an unknown.
You have to mute your television, Kathy.
Okay. Sorry, I can't find it.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to mute it right now, but all right, I'm going to try it. I'm not going to be able to. You can hear me. So I'm really asking you to take this leap and vote this budget in and make history for Egg Harbor Township and for the residents and our children that are coming into kindergarten, to give them the opportunity to have all the benefits that a full day kindergarten affords them. But full day kindergarten is only one part of this budget. The rest of the budget has been hard fought for and worked at, strive to get to where we're at. So let's not lose sight of that. And I know the board's going to do the right thing. So I'm going to be listening, and I hope I get it. I hope I get back to cheer you on. Thank you.
And we thank you. Thank you for your comment.
Okay, go ahead. Name and address, please.
Hi, my name is.
Go ahead. You can do your name. Go ahead.
Oh, sure. Can you hear me? Melissa Lucas. I'm a first grade teacher at Davenport in the district.
And go ahead with your comment.
Yeah, hi. I taught kindergarten for 13 years half day at Davenport, and now I'm currently teaching first grade for my second year. And pretty much I just want to say that the half day program does not allow enough time required for the curriculum to be effectively taught and to get them ready for first grade. And I see that now more than ever as a first grade teacher. Full day is needed now, so please vote to pass full day kindergarten. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment.
Okay, name and address, please.
Jill Miller, 206 Westwood Road.
And go ahead with your public comment.
And I just wanted to say that I do not have children in the school district, but I do recommend that you put through this budget. It will help families starting out with young children so that they don't have to pay the extra daycare. It will really help the children of our future and in our community. So I totally recommend passing this budget. I also like to go listen to the performances and the plays. So any money that you can put towards the arts as well is definitely appreciated. It's wonderful to hear these kids become really good members of the community. Thank you.
And we thank you. Thank you for your comment. Chandra.
We have to wait at least 30 seconds or a minute to make sure there's no other public comment. At this time, we are just in holding pattern.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chandra.
At this time, we are waiting another 30 seconds just to be sure there are no other public comments. Now that we have the sign up, we will wait 30 seconds. Thank you. Maybe a minute. Okay, name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Mark Tedeschi, 148 Blackman Road, Egg Harbor Township.
Go ahead with your comment.
I'm familiar with the district and the people and the places, but I'm calling as the parent of a first grade special education student at the moment, so I can wear that hat when I speak to you. And having a little bit of an inside and an outside view, over the last 2 years for my son's reading recovery, 2 in-class support teachers focusing primarily on him, probably spent about a quarter of their day, of their class time, with pull-out instruction, with master assistant, doing everything that we asked them to do, and we saw great results, and we continue to see great results. I just took an average salary of a teacher in the district, and I added in the cost of benefits and did a little bit of approximation. Please don't hold me to the penny, Ms. Anaya. But the money spent on reading recovery for my son since he entered in kindergarten has amounted to probably around $40,000 when I look at the salaries of his in-class support teachers through there. And when 1 penny of the tax rate generates about $400,000, is that correct? I don't want to make an inaccurate comment.
Continue with your public comment. Go ahead.
Okay. That's just one child coming in with a reading issue that generates, it eats up, for lack of a better word, a tenth of a penny for every cent on the tax rate. And there's definitely more out there. So I do think that we can realize some savings by giving them more than the 40, 50 minutes they get during half-day kindergarten towards our literacy goals. And I obviously, for that and many other reasons, support this budget and hope that our representatives on the board do the same thing. Stay safe, everybody, and thinking of all of you. Take care.
We thank you very much for your comment and your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, name and address, please.
Nishtha, my address is 45 Orchard Boulevard, Egg Harbor Township. I'm calling to give my comment that I fully support the full-day kindergarten program. I do have a young child who is potentially going to go to the kindergarten program starting this fall, so I am very much personally invested in this. Other than that, I think all the Egg Harbor Township schools provide a very good curriculum which all the students designed to benefit from, especially our kindergartners, because our schools has many resources and facilities for them. I think it is essential for the kids in our township to get that equal platform, because some kids do not get the chance to go to preschool. So I just want to give my full support to the full day program. Thank you.
We thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, name and address, please.
Dr. Nataki Chestnut, 307 Island Lane, Egg Harbor Township.
And go ahead with your public comment.
Yes, I'm calling to support the budget for the 2021 school year, as well as our full day kindergarten. I think that as a community and as a society as a whole, we need to look outside of our house to see what would benefit, the greater good of our community. Just to let everyone know, there's no direct benefit for me or my household for a KG program because our daughter is actually a junior at the high school this year, and we pay over $13,000 in property taxes. So if it means that my property tax, needs to go up a little, to make sure that the students in our community are better equipped for the future, then so be it. I'll rather see that. And then, the district is also looking at developing, students so they can compete globally. And in order for our students to do that, we have to make sure that not only we have a full-day kindergarten program, but we also have a pre-K program, because we all know that our students need those strong foundational skills to be fully, developed and equipped to be global, learners. With my own daughter, I want her to be able to get the best education in CHQ, where she can compete globally with the students in children of Finland, South Korea, and Denmark. So I do support, the kindergarten program and hope that the board does approve it.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, name and address, please.
Whitney Brennan, 2 Timberwood Drive.
Go ahead with your public comment.
I just wanted to call in to say that I fully support full-day kindergarten. I actually have 2 children in the school district, one being in 1st grade and she was in kindergarten last year for a half day. I personally don't think that there was enough time in the day to really teach the 5 and 6-year-olds in 2 hours. So I just wanted to say that I fully support it because I've seen a huge difference in my 7-year-old now that she's in 1st grade. And I think the more time would definitely benefit them to go into 1st grade. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We thank you for your comments.
And there were a few calls, so we're just going to hold the line for now. Okay, repeat name and address, please.
Christina Hampton, teacher at Davenport School.
Go ahead with your public comment.
Hi, I'm just calling in as a teacher in the district. I've been working in the district 13 years, and I'm currently a 1st grade teacher. I'm asking you to strongly encouraging you to support this budget. This budget is an investment in our students and our community, and we can no longer afford the loss of instructional time that a half-day program costs us. As a 1st grade teacher, I've seen firsthand the difference in the level of preparedness from students coming from full-day programs. And approving this budget will allow us to finally have that edge that all of our students need. So please support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, name and address, please. You're live.
Mary Geary. My address is 117 Poplar Avenue. I have put 7 special ed children through the district. I have had to retain 3 of them in the district. 1 in 1st grade, 1 in 6th grade, 2 in 1st grade. And the need for the full day kindergarten probably would have negated 2 of those because of the ability to enhance the reading and math projects. I also have 2 that are being sent out of district. So the ability to provide full day kindergarten in district is a necessary issue now, and waiting to see what the fall would come would just potentially put off what we could provide now. So I beg the district's Board of Ed to pass the budget now. Thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for your comments. Thank you very much.
Okay, we did have a call during that last one, but we're just going to wait another 20 seconds or so, and then we can call it. I'll let you know. I had a caller and I disconnected by accident, so we are going to wait a few minutes, at least another couple seconds, let him call back. Please hold. Okay, name and address, please. You're live.
Sean Finnegan, 10 Cottage Road.
And go ahead with your public comment.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, first off, I have two children that are younger, and I've sent them both to full day kindergarten so I can understand the benefits because I see it in them every day. But I just think that you kind of need to do a reality check here. I mean, I feel like I'm in some sort of bizarre world, and I hear a lot of teachers calling, but just a little bit of perspective. You know, teachers are currently getting paid. Teachers currently aren't unemployed. They still have their jobs, but the people I talk to around town, they've lost their jobs. They can't get unemployment. They haven't gotten a stimulus check. And here we are, we just pushed a 1 cent tax on them by the district. And now we're talking about putting another $166 on them per 200K. So yes, I can understand the benefits, but does it make any sense to do this now? And like I said last week, we don't even have a plan to onboard our students. Now we're going to take 500 kids that were there part-time, and we're going to have to try to manage them through the school system full-time when we're dealing with a situation like a pandemic, where we're going to be talking about things like personal hygiene and wearing masks and taking temperatures of children every day, full PPE for some of our at-risk staff. So I just don't think the town in general understands the impact of what we're asking. And it doesn't make sense to me that we're doing this now. Like I said, I understand the premise. I agree with it. But now is not the time to put this on a town to the tune of 20, 30% unemployment. It just does not make sense. People lost their jobs. People can't get any money. And we're dumping money, $3 million a year on top of that. It just doesn't make any sense this year. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, please name and address for the record. You are live.
My name is Marianne Barchek, 115 West Kennedy Drive. I am calling to say I would love to have full-day kindergarten. My child will be going to kindergarten next year. I also have a first grader and a third grader. Full-day kindergarten would be great for the kids, especially with the curriculum that New Jersey pushes on them. It gives them more time to learn it, as well as still have hands-on learning, recess as well, and also there are other specials they get to enjoy, gym, music, art, just like the rest of the kids. I think it would be a great opportunity for the kindergartners. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
We will wait another 20 seconds or so, and then we can close this public comment section. Okay, name and address, you're live.
Jennifer Meyer, kindergarten teacher at Davenport. I'm just calling in tonight to, again, urge you board members to please vote for this budget. We really do need full-day kindergarten to let our children grow and get the experience they need with the curriculum that's currently in place, along with supporting all the other aspects of the budget.
Thank you.
And we thank you as well for your comments.
We have another 20 seconds or so, and then we can close this public comment if no other calls come in. Please repeat your name and address, please.
Hi, it's Kate Taylor, 409 Zion Road.
Go ahead with your public comment.
Yes, hi. I am a parent in the district of 15-year-old twins in high school, and I am also a first grade teacher. And I'm just calling in to ask everyone to support the budget for tonight. I see firsthand as a first grade teacher how important it is and the deficit that is felt for kids coming from a half-day program. So I'm just calling in to show my support.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We thank you for your comments.
Okay, thanks.
Go ahead, name and address, please. You're live.
My name is Ryan Matricardi, 423 Pine Avenue, Neckover Township. I'd just like to say that I've been a resident in Neckover Township my entire life, as well as my wife and my children are going through the school district, and we are in support of the full-day kindergarten. It is 2020, time that Neckover Township rises to the occasion and joins everyone else. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. We thank you for your comments.
At this time, it has been 45 seconds with no public comment. I believe by the time I finish talking will be a full minute, and you can go ahead and proceed. Mr. President, enough time has passed, over a minute. If this time you want to close public comment for budget hearing, you may do so.
Thank you. Thank you, Chandra. So we will close public comment on the budget portion, the budget portion of the hearing, and I'll now open it to board member questions or comments on the budget.
Mr. President, may I speak? Marita.
Yes, please.
Okay. First of all, I want to make it really clear that the whole entire board has worked really, really hard, not only on the budget, but also on full-day kindergarten. And this is not just about full-day kindergarten. This is about a burden put on our taxpayers right now, which for small businesses, for the regular workers, that this is going to be a real burden for them to raise the taxes for this. My questions are, first of all, if and when will we get the funding? Will we be able to have full-time classes, or are we going to go back? There's been rumors of split sessions to keep children distant from each other. Are we going to be able to implement that? Also, if the budget comes in, or if the funding comes in lower in August, we're going to have parents scrambling to figure out what to do with their children. This is not at all about cutting kindergarten. This is about looking at our budget again now while we have the time, reworking it, hopefully keeping full kindergarten in there. And then when it comes down to August and we find out what our actual money is, hopefully we won't have to cut too many things. If it doesn't come to full kindergarten being cutted, we may have academies, we may have not workshops, but other things that are going to affect the other children in the district. So there's a whole lot of variables here right now, and I think they need to be addressed, and we need a little bit more time on this budget. There's no one, again, everyone on the board is for full-day kindergarten. We've been to all the meetings, we've heard the public. This is about making our budget affordable for all of our constituents and getting the most bang out of our bucks for all the students in our district. That's our biggest concern, is the education of our students. So if there are other creative ways that we can save, full-day kindergarten may be able to be saved. So it's not about full-day kindergarten, and that's what all the calls were about. It's more about, let's look at this now, let's make a plan B, so if our funding comes in lower in August, that we already have a plan ready. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Are there other board members?
Yes, Mr. Castellano, it's Barbara Salagi.
Yes, Barbara, please.
Yes, I have some great concerns. Obviously, what Marita just said, we are all for all-day kindergarten. There's no arguing about the benefits of it, but we have a lot of unknowns. A couple times it was mentioned, vote for this because you'll make history. We're already making history right now through this pandemic, and I don't think it would be fair to have parents that are assuming that we're going to have full-day kindergarten and then find out that they took our surplus, they decreased our aid, and then we can't afford full-day kindergarten on August 25th. That's a big concern that I have. The other concern that I have is we were told that full-day kindergarten would increase first, second, third, and fourth grade class sizes. So we have children that are home now. Some are probably doing what they're supposed to be doing every day. Some don't have maybe the support to be doing what they're supposed to be doing. So we're going to have a lot of students, I anticipate, that are going to need extra help. And if we are in school, they're going to be in a larger class, and the teachers are going to have more students to try and bring up to where they should be. I did fact that we're calling it all-day kindergarten, if we go into split sessions, it could be half a day anyway. So there's a lot of unknowns there, and it's really hard to make a decision based on unknowns. A lot of people that are making paychecks right now are publicly funded paychecks. And even though we heard from people over the phone tonight that want full-day kindergarten, I've been hearing from people that they're not working, they haven't collected unemployment in 2 months, they didn't get their stimulus yet, and they're in trouble. So I just have to verbalize my concerns because I think they're very valid. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Szilagyi. Other board members?
Yes, Mr. Castellano.
Yes, Mrs. Byrd, please.
I agree that we are obviously in times that we are newly navigating, times that we are that are uncertain, and the fear of the unknown is scary. And I think that every single board member up here feels that. I think the teachers feel that. I think our students feel that. It's been a very long process, and I've lamented back and forth on what is the right thing to do. And so rather than make a decision based off of my emotions or my fears, I decided to look into what the research tells us. So I found a study from Ohio University and Emory University, where postgraduate students studied school districts, tax referenda, spending cuts, and its effect on student achievement. And I'm going to read just a blurb from that because, like I said, I don't want to make tonight's decision based on emotion or fear, but more on data. So this was done in Ohio. Ohio's heavy reliance on local tax measures, similar to here, fund public schools enabled us to identify the impact using a sample of districts that is representative of districts throughout the country in terms of the reliance on local sources of revenue, spending per pupil, and demographic characteristics. The results indicate that levy failure led to large relative declines in district revenues and expenditures per pupil, and ultimately declines in student achievement. Further analysis reveals that the relative cuts to instrumental spending corresponded to teacher attrition concentrated among teachers with 4 years of experience or less, as well as increase in student-teacher ratios. Additionally, the cuts to other district services correspond to lower student attendance rates, which is consistent with the possibility that cuts to services such as transportation funding also affected the ability of districts to educate students. So basically, not having those levies passed led to immediate and trackable lack of student achievement. And I have one more. It's not quite as long. This was done at more locally, University of Pennsylvania and Penn State University. It was a study based on our most recent recession, and it was done in 2017. So this is based on troubling economic times and its impact on student achievement. The impact of the Great Recession on student achievement. The results reveal that the achievement trajectories for particular segments of the school population were substantially attenuated by the Great Recession. The impact of the recession on disadvantaged subgroups, upwards of 0.05 standard deviations for each school age of exposure to the recession, was larger than the effects of known educational interventions. So it also says that just a minimal cut to school aid had long-term lasting negative implications that far outlasted the economic setbacks. So this is a very emotional time, and we could rely on our emotions. We could rely on our fears, or we could have faith in our administration and we could have faith in our business administrator, and we could have faith in our community that through these tough times, we still make the right decisions for our kids. And I have one more comment. I apologize for taking so long. One of the calls in said that, and I might have misheard, but they questioned why we would be adding, say, 500 more students into our population. And I see that as we educate 7,400 students a day in Egg Harbor Township. Adding 500 is 6%. Our teachers can take it. Our principals can take it. Our administrators can take it. We're here to educate. Bring on the numbers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bird. Do we have other board members?
Yeah, Pete, can I say something? It's Amy.
Yes, Amy, please. Go ahead.
I just wanted to thank Dr. Gruccio and Mrs. Anaya and administration for working so hard on the budget. I know that it was a long, tiring process. I know that the future is uncertain. I also know, being a first grade teacher, how necessary full day kindergarten is. If we don't pass this budget, I'm also worried about the implications of our preschool funding. So I 100% support passing this budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Summer. Any other board members?
Mrs.
Any
Floyd.
other board? Yes, Mr.
Okay.
Floyd, please.
So I just wanted to say there were about between 13 and 14 stakeholders that called in tonight. And I believe 2 to 3 did share their that they did not want to support the budget. Well, they didn't say the budget. I think the key things they pointed out was full day kindergarten. And I know that's doesn't represent the entire population of Egg Harbor Township or stakeholders, but there were just some, I guess, comments that kind of stood out to me, and it kind of sparked some questions. One question is, this one is for Mr. Nye, and I'm just going to go through my few questions, and then, just share that you can answer them or however you can get back to me, whatever. In reference to state aid, whether we had the COVID-19 or not, I just want to know, is the state aid ever subject to change? Are we waiting for, the amount could change regardless if it was, if we were in a pandemic or not. And I know that, just wanted to put that question out there. And I think I remember hearing one of the callers saying that we needed to have a reality check. And I just want to make sure that, to Dr. Gruccio, that some people that may have called in, they may need some clarification. I just want to know if you want to call some of those people back, because I'm concerned that they may feel the district doesn't have a plan A, B, C, or D in place for students returning. And I'm just trying to figure out, because I just don't want it to be put out to the community that there's no plan in place for our return after we are given clearance to come back to school after the pandemic. Because that one caller called in and said that, and I'm just concerned that we want to make sure that they have clarity on what the district is, how we're going to move forward to handle and support our students. Also, one thing Ms. Bird did mention about having trust in our district. I don't know if there's a lack of faith in that the district will have a plan. I don't think there is a school district in this country with an administrative team that is not sitting down and planning for A, B, C, and D. And I can't foresee that Egg Harbor Township is any different. When you're making a plan, that's what you're doing. You're making a plan, you're creating one, and it's something you sit down and you work on. So the plan may not be out in the forefront right now, but I just hope that Dr. Gruccio, maybe before the meeting's over, just to make sure that people understand that Egg Harbor Township is not sitting back just waiting for the unknown to happen. We're planning. I think that we're planning for A, B, C, and D. And some of the board members mentioned that the people that were calling in were teachers. And I just wanted to make sure people understand that teachers, in the summertime, teachers will not be getting paid as well. So they'll be without funds as well. So whether you're a teacher, whether you're an essential worker, whoever you are in the district, this pandemic and what situations going on is affecting everyone. So there's no one that's hasn't been affected in one way or the other. We don't know everyone's financial situation in the township. And I don't think that we can assume that if someone has a certain profession that, you know, we know their financial background. I think we need to be concerned with all stakeholders. And I just think that we need to really, as Ms. Bird did say about not going with our fears, because we all have some type of fears with the situation that's going on now. But we have to know that when we make a decision, it's not about making history. It's just about investing in the future of our students while considering everything that's going on.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert Floyd. Are there any other board members, or do we want to circle administration?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Ellis, please.
Yeah, I would just like to say that, you know, it is some tough times, tough and rough time. I'm the only single parent on the board. And we say 25 cents and 40 cents is not enough, but yet we say community. We don't know what folks are going through out there. I know some waiters and waitresses that makes $200 to $500 a week in tips. Now they're down to $25 and $50. I wish there was some kind of way we could kind of table this to the future. The future meaning seeing what the state's going to do for us. We don't know. I'm always in favor of full-day kindergarten because the educated community is the best community. But we also got to keep in mind, you know, a lot of us have pension. A lot of us have two family incomes. A lot of us have good jobs paying over $100,000. I heard earlier we said community, but yet we said 50% of our students is on free and reduced lunch. 50% of our students, $40, $80 may not mean a lot to us because we spend that in Wawa in a week. But for some parents, growing up in Atlantic City, growing up rough, $40 mean a lot. So we have to take into consideration what we're really saying. And if it's a possible way for us to table this till we guaranteed our state aid, or maybe we could we need to look in the budget, cut something else so full-day kindergarten will survive. But don't ever say $40, $44, and $88 is nothing. Because 50% free and reduced lunch, that means a lot to other people. So I hope we keep that in mind and consider that. We got to think of others. Like we always say, the community. This is a community. You know what? We come strong together. We go through thick and thin in this community. So sometimes our brothers and sisters in the community is going to need help. And that help might come now. You got to see out here where people are like fighting over toilet paper, you know, and people don't have money to take the kids to Wally World. Disney closed in 2021. Disney's probably make millions of dollars a month. And if they're concerned about what's going on, we got to keep in mind what's happening in our district. Not everybody had that $44 and $88. So let's look at the budget again, if we can, and go somewhere else besides the school, the full-day kindergarten. Cut some other stuff if possible. I don't know. We'll go back into it. But I just want to say we can't take for granted that that's nothing. We didn't get the taxpayers relief on the pass-through monies that we got. You know, we gave them a little relief a couple times. But let's keep in mind, all of us don't have that money.
Thank you, Mr. Ellis. Do we have any other board members?
I do.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Price, I'd like to comment, please.
Yeah, let's hear everyone who hasn't spoke first, and then we'll double back if need be.
Thank you. Okay, it's Mr. Price. How are you tonight, everybody? I just want to say that this is exactly why we need to support the budget. Now more than ever, people need us. The students need us, the parents need us, the community needs us. We can't provide these programs, these lunches, and these services unless we continue in a responsible way and support the budget. I understand that it's tough economic times for everyone, but we need a stable budget and we need to keep the schools going strong. It's the best things for the students. Let's support the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Anyone, board member, who hasn't spoken yet before we double back?
Mr. President, I think that's me, Lou Della Barca.
Go ahead, Lou, please.
I'm really in a turmoil here. That's why I've waited so long to make a comment. This has been a struggle for me. All of you know that I have totally supported full-day kindergarten for over 55 years in education, and 50 of those here in Egg Harbor Township. So this is a real challenge because I totally sympathize with those folks who are struggling right now. Staying in my house all day for all these 6 weeks now or 7 weeks has been a real struggle. All of us want to get out and associate with other people, and hearing the concerns about the folks who are not working, not getting unemployment, not getting the stimulus, it really saddens me. But I'm struggling with this vote. We need full-day kindergarten, and some of my friends might disagree with me regarding the vote, but at this time, I'm very disappointed in the state. I really think our state should have come to us and come to all the boards in the state. Instead, now's the time for you to continue the current budget, maintain what you're doing, and when we know what the funding will be, we'll let you know what to do. Instead of putting us on the spot, making us vote for a budget, and then we all know, come August, we're going to be looking at this again. I mean, they know that. The state knows it. I've been in contact at 2 meetings this past week as county president of the School Boards Association with the school board, New Jersey School Boards Association, and I get this deep feeling from them. We're not going to get the funding that we've been promised. And that's sad, but I just get the sense that they know the state's going to run out of money. And even concerning the grant for the pre-K, if we get full day and that grant that sort of been promised us, will there be money for that grant? I'm a little worried about that also. So all these worries, everybody that's spoken tonight on the board, I sincerely agree with all of you. There were 18 folks who called in tonight. I think 16 of those were telling us to hold up on the budget, and the rest of everybody supported it. So that's kind of interesting. I know there are people out there who would like to have called in, but probably don't know the process, may not even know that we're meeting tonight, which is unfortunate, but that's the way the things go right now with the situation we're in. So at this time, it looks like I'm going to be supporting the budget. I have a feeling we're going to have the votes no matter which way I vote. But we need it. We need not only for, as Mr. Price and many of you said, we need it for all of our programs. It's a shame we can't look at this again tonight and hold it up, but I have a feeling we have to move forward based on all the laws. But we're going to be talking budget, I have a deep feeling, throughout the summer. And who knows what revisions we're going to make. But in order for us to open, in the fall, there's going to be some changes made. And I don't know how we're going to fund all that without supporting this at this time and then having to relook at everything in the future. So there we go. See what happens when we vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Del Barca. And I'd like to make my comments before we go back around. And I want to pick up on what you said. The state has put us in a very difficult position because, and let me be clear, as Chandra has said, we may see our original aid numbers reduced. And the state has until August 25th to do that. I certainly hope we would have an answer sooner. But that's a very real possibility. And all of the folks that I have spoken to in Trenton as well, there is an uncertainty as to what will happen. However, the Department of Education is telling us to move forward with our budgets as is. And here's why I believe we need to do so now. We were not, as Lou said very correctly, we were not given an extension on our deadline to pass a budget. We have until the 15th of May. long before we'll know anything from the state. So we have to act now. Passing this budget puts us in the best position to go forward with our plans that we had. Cutting now puts us behind the 8 ball before we even know what the cuts are, should there be cuts. I know these are difficult times. They're unprecedented times. I understand both in terms of the pandemic and the economic hardship that's placed on our families. And it's heartbreaking. But I believe it's even more the reason that we have to do the best we can for our children. We have to make sure our students receive the best education we can give them. The budget that we have before us provides for the educational needs of those students, delivers full-day kindergarten, the possibility of preschool. These are things our community has been planning for, not just for months, but for years. And it does these things in a fiscally responsible way. Again, assuming we were to get the aid, by leveraging $6 million in state aid that we fought very hard for, and I fought very hard for personally, plus the possibility of an additional $1 million in grants for preschool, which completes our early childhood education. So we would be in a position to offer all of that without having to go to referendum. Other communities that add a program like this, full-day kindergarten, have to go to referendum. They have to build new buildings. They have to hire a lot of new staff. We've been able to do it without any of that. So assuming our aid stays, we're delivering these educational benefits in a very fiscally responsible manner. All we're asking for is to go to cap. And again, we do have to have plans in place because we don't know what's going to happen. And we will have those plans in place if the aid does not come through. And we may very well be back here, and we'll come back here and we'll do our jobs and we'll go from there. And we'll make those plans when we have a different aid figure. But I think at this point in time, the responsible thing to do is to go forward with our budget as planned. And I'll now open up if board members want to circle back.
I do have one more comment, Mr. Castellano.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to piggyback off of what Mr. Ellis said, because I think that he made an excellent point that $44 to members of our community is might as well be $44,000. They're out of work and they don't know when they're going to go back. They don't know when their finances will be back on track. And those same community members are why we need to pass this budget. But they need to work and they need somewhere for their children to go. And they can't afford private kindergarten. They can't afford private preschool. So if they don't have anywhere to send their children to be educated in a safe place, then they cannot work and rebound in this terrible economy. So yes, $44 is difficult, but thankfully as a community, we're spreading out the burden. And we're giving those kids who come from those homes a place to go and to be educated, and a step up and a step out. So hopefully, if something like this happens again in the future, that child will have more of a foundation to successfully navigate this situation. Thank you, Mr. Castellano.
Thank you, Mrs. Bird. Any other board members?
Yes.
Other thoughts, other comments?
Yes, I have a couple more questions. When is the last day that we can vote on this budget?
May 15th.
May 15th?
Ms. Anaya?
The last day to submit to the township, to the state, is May 14th. But if anything is changed, nothing can change after tonight because this is our budget hearing. So although we may have more time, this is the official budget hearing. So this would have to be, where all the decisions are made, and then, go from there.
Okay, well, hopefully by then none of our residents are homeless, because it's just not good for a lot of people. And thank you, Mr. Ellis, for speaking for those people. This really isn't just all about full-day kindergarten. It's about our budget. And I've been asked, what is the idea for the track and the turf? Are we including that in this budget? No? Is it going to be usable?
Track and turf is not included in this budget. That was something that we would discuss later. It's not on our list of things right now. The track did receive some rest, and the turf did receive some rest this spring. So that's a good thing for us.
Dr. Gruccio, this question is for you. If they do cut our $6 million, or even a part of it, would you lower the budget, or would you raise the amount of impact to the residents or to the taxpayers?
Barb, that's hard for me to answer right now because it's a comprehensive study of what the budget looks like with those cuts, how much those cuts are, who that affects. As you know, personnel is the big meat and potatoes of our budget. So just as all the time that went into preparing this budget, a whole lot of time, passion, and effort would have to go into that situation. But right now it's unknown if it will happen. If it does, it's unknown just how much. And the just how much really would assist us with looking at certain areas for those cuts.
If I can just chime in regarding the burden to taxpayers, this budget being proposed is a budget presented at cap, which is the 2% cap we discussed. If we are opening up our budget again to discuss things to cut or move around, I'm thinking if it follows regular budgetary guidelines, the only way we would be able to ever go above cap is with a separate question for the voters. But as it stands right now, cap is cap, and that would not be impacted with a new, with rethinking anything in August.
But if the budget goes to cap and you have so much aid and you're getting 4.45 from the taxpayer, then you would have to put more to the taxpayer to bring it up to cap, I guess is what I'm saying.
So cap is calculated based on last year's levy of about $79 million. You take last year's levy and you times it by 2%, and that is the only amount that you can increase outside of exceptions for health insurance and other things that are waived. With that, 1.5 million is already an increase in this budget, so you are already at the capped amount. So it's not the cap. The cap calculation does not change if the budget changes. It's based on last year's levy. So last year's levy, 79 million, you would take 2% of that, and that does not change.
And we did discuss that last week at our work meeting. It would not be possible for us to go higher than cap.
I'm not talking about the budget going over cap. I'm talking about the amount of aid being reduced and that 4.45 cents to the taxpayer being increased because you lost that additional aid.
The 4.45 cent increase you're discussing is the amount of the impact to the taxpayer because of the increase in the levy. So it is exactly tied together. The 4.45 cent increase is the amount of the increase because of the levy. So it is tied to that 2% number.
Okay.
If that helps.
Well, I guess I've expressed my concerns as far as when we get permission to go back to school and we pass full day kindergarten, and then we're told that we only are going to have half day sessions. So some kids will go in the morning, some kids will go in the afternoon. And I'm talking about all grades, not just kindergarten. Then my concern became true. So that's kind of where I'm at. Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes. Yes, please.
I just have some questions or concerns. So if we don't get the funding, is there a possibility that we could have to cut staff members? Is there a possibility that we will have to increase class size? I mean, are these all possibilities if we have to cut the budget in some way if we don't get the funding? And has it been confirmed? I mean, that when we return back to school, that we're going to do night sessions and half days for all. I just want to know where these, since some people don't think, I guess, or think that the district has a plan in place for the kids to return for when they return. I'm just trying to understand where all these different plans that are floating around in the community. I don't know where they're coming from. If, as one of our callers said, a reality check, and that we don't have a plan in place for when the children come back. I'm not sure who that was, but that was one of the people I said, I think you may need to call them back, because I don't know if we have, I think there's a lot of ideas and thoughts, and people, when people don't know exactly what's going to happen, the unknown, I think we have a lot of maybe false plans or thoughts about what's going to happen and what the school year is going to look like when we do return. So I just wanted to confirm, is it a half day for all grades?
At this time, it is not a half day. We haven't even crossed that bridge. Again, we will wait for the governor's statement on May 15th. We will take guidance from our Atlantic County educational officials. And we know that they'll be standing by our side, as well as my other superintendent, the colleagues in the county. And we have discussions, and we plan accordingly based on what we can do. Yes, there's been many ideas floating around in the educational arena, but nothing, absolutely nothing etched in stone at this time. We're not there yet.
And I'm just feeling that I feel like there may be the thought that people know a plan that I don't know where these plans are coming from. And I just also wanted to say that, as a board member, I just wanted to say that, I think every person on the board, I guess I'll just speak for myself, but I think that most people would say that we're considering all stakeholders, whether you're parents, whether you're teachers, whether you're senior citizens, whether you're single, whether you're married, whether you're, affluent, or whether you need financial assistance from wherever. This is affecting everyone. And I just don't want the community or stakeholders to think that we're only considering a certain sector of people in Egg Harbor Township. We're considering everyone. And I just wanted to say that we're considering everyone, the stakeholders.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilbert-Floyd. Are there any other board members?
Yes, Mr. Castellano. Just to clarify something about all these ideas that are out there. It seems that the federal government, I saw on TV today, is recommending or pushing that when we open schools, that we are moved desks far apart for distancing, and that the other point was that we feed the children in the classrooms. So that may be some of the talk that's out there, because that has been on the news from the federal recommendations and guidelines. Certainly nothing has been said at the state level yet, and I agree with Dr. Gruccio that there's certainly been no decisions made that I've heard about at any time yet, but maybe some people are hearing some of that talk out there. Thank you.
In the media, I don't know.
Thank you, Mr. Delabarca. Yes, very good points, but none of it that we know for certain. Are there any other board members that wish to comment on the budget before we move forward with the agenda? Okay, at this time, this.
Mr. Castellano, this is Chandra. We were waiting for the board members to stop speaking. If we can entertain the vote for finance item for the budget at this time after the budget hearing. It's item 7.1 if you're ready to entertain that, and then we will flow through the rest of the budget. Excuse me, the rest of the agenda.
I'm fine with that. I just want to check with Mrs. Halk-Elko. Do I need to do 6.1 first, comment on other parts of the agenda before we vote on the budget? That's what I had planned to do, but.
So because it's the public budget hearing, you just had your public budget hearing, you can certainly entertain the motion now for the budget if you want, because that's the only public comment you'd have, and then you could go into the next public comment for other agenda items.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We will then we will change that order just a bit then, and at this point I'm going to ask for a motion on 7.1 to approve the 2020-2021 school district budget. Do I have a motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
I have a motion. Go ahead.
A motion and a second. We've had discussion. Is there any further discussion before we vote? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Della Barca?
I'm going to pass it this time.
Mr. Ellis?
No.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd?
Yes.
Mr. Price?
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan?
No.
Mrs. Summer?
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi?
No.
Mrs. Byrd?
Yes.
Mr. Castellano?
Yes.
And Mr. Della Barca?
Yes.
And motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Thank you, members of the public. At this point in the agenda, we are going to open up for public comments, should there be any, on the remainder of agenda items. The remainder of agenda items, not the budget, but the remainder of agenda items only, please. Any public comment?
Again, with a 30-second delay, we're going to wait a few minutes and just make sure they get a chance to see it and call in. Okay, this has been on the screen for the viewers for 30 seconds on their end as well. So I think we can go ahead and close.
Okay, so we will move forward, and I thank everyone for that. We will go ahead into the remainder of finance and operations, and I'm going to now ask for a motion for the remainder of finance operations, which is 7.2 through 7.11. May I have a motion, please?
Motion from Marita.
May I have a second?
I'll make a second.
Any discussion on those items? roll call, please.
Mr. Della Barca,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes, yes.
okay, thank you. Mrs. Gilbert Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mrs. Summer,
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrd,
Yes.
and Mr. Castellano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much. We're going to move to personnel, and I'm going to ask for a motion on 8.1 through 8.3. May I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? I didn't pick that up.
Amy.
Thank
Mrs.
you.
Summer. Is there any discussion on personnel? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Della Barca,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Technical difficulty. Yes.
I understand. Mrs. Gilbert Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mrs. Summer,
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrd,
Yes.
and Mr. Castellano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We have now new business. May I have a motion under 9.1 for 9.1, please?
I have a question on that. Is that the time? Is now the time to ask it?
What we'll do is we'll get a motion and second, and then we'll do discussion.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, so now we'll move to discussion. Mr. Price.
Okay, what I would like clarification on, as far as suspending the policies, will this directly pertain to comply with emergency government orders on that level, or could it be for any of the policies whatsoever? Could you just clarify that a little bit better for me? Thank you.
Yes, it would cover anything that would go with the emergency orders, as well as any policies that are affected by the emergency orders, new laws, etc., while school is closed, and only for that limited time period.
Okay, so it would be pertaining to emergency orders. It wouldn't be just daily operations or anything like that sort.
It would, if there were any policies that pertain to daily operations that were affected because of an emergency order, an executive order by the governor, or because of a law that was changed during the COVID-19 pandemic that we haven't had a chance to modify a policy for.
Okay, thank you. That sounds reasonable.
Any further discussion on 9.1? Hearing none, may we have roll call, please?
Mr. Della Barca,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Yes.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
thank you. Mrs. Sullivan,
No.
Mrs. Summer,
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Castellano.
Yes.
Thank you.
We do have an item under old business dealing with HIB and discipline hearings, and I'm going to ask Mrs. Elko if she has the resolution to read for us.
I do. I would ask the board to entertain a motion to affirm the HIB cases and the disciplinary hearing cases as discussed in executive session. Specifically, they are JDM 03, JDM 04, F09, HS 01, and then DH4, DH5, and DH6, all 1920 as discussed in executive session. You would need a motion and a second.
Thank you, Mrs. Elko. May I have a motion, please?
Lou Delabarca, so made.
Second. Mrs. Sullivan.
Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, may I have roll call?
Mr. Delabarca,
Yes.
Mr. Ellis,
Abstain.
Mrs. Gilbert Floyd,
Yes.
Mr. Price,
Yes.
Mrs. Sullivan,
Yes.
Mrs. Summer,
Yes.
Mrs. Salagi,
Yes.
Mrs. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Castellano.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members. Our final agenda item is one more public comment period, which can be on any topic for the public. Questions or comments, again, they're limited to 3 minutes. The board cannot discuss personnel or litigation. And should you have a complicated question, it may be necessary for our administration to get back to you with an answer. So with that, we're open one more time for public question or comment on any topic.
We will leave it open for 1 minute because of the delay. At this time, we have not received any calls, and we are just up on the 1 minute mark.
Okay, thank you. We'll close that. And at this point,
Mr. Castellano, the phone is ringing right now, so I think we should entertain it.
Sure.
Okay, please repeat name and address, please.
Dina Dan, 4023 Fernwood Avenue. First, I want to say good job on the virtual board meetings. I know that it's trying times and you guys are doing great with it. Next, I just want to say thank you to the teachers and counselors, especially at the high school, for making virtual learning less stressful for a junior who's researching colleges and seniors who are making their decisions. Want to also give a shout out to the class of 2020 and let them know that their community is behind them in everything that we're doing. And finally, I want to thank Dr. Gruccio, the district, the township, the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, Recreation for bringing the hashtag EHT Strong to EHT this Friday. May 1st, we're asking the community to get involved and decorate their homes, yards, businesses with EHT gear to show our solidarity, not just for our residents, but for our students. I just want to let everybody know that they can upload the pictures to the Facebook event, hashtag EHT Strong, or they can email them to me at Recreation, and the information is on that event page. I also want to give a special thanks out to Leanna Mullen and Dennis Heenan from the high school for helping us put the video together. With that being said, if you guys can help spread the word, I just want to put out there that we're all in this together. We are one. We are EHT. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comment, Dina, and we certainly are going to do our part to support that effort. It's a wonderful idea, and we are all in this together, and I agree with you 100%. And so thank you again.
And we do have another public comment. Name and address, please.
Kathy Watson.
Go ahead with your public comment.
Wow. Thank you, Board of Education. This has been a long time coming, and I realized that it was a hard decision tonight, but you did the right thing. I thank you. I'm sure our community thanks you, and can't wait to get next year going. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Wazen, for your comment. Any other members of the public?
We did just get an attempt, but they did not say anything, so we will wait another 30 seconds in case there was a difficulty there. Okay, you're live. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Sonia Cruz, 207 Egan Avenue.
Go ahead with your public comment.
Mr. Castellano, I wanted to go on record in regards to a suggestion that I had made directly to you to share with the Board of Education in regards to showing additional support to the senior class of Egg Harbor Township High School by providing a yearbook for each senior, so that possibly if school. Okay.
Are you still there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Go ahead. After the word school, we didn't hear anything after that. Sorry, if you want to repeat that sentence.
Oh, you lost me there. So I'm sorry. So the question. Sonia Cruz, 207 Egan Avenue, Egg Harbor Township.
Go ahead.
Mr. Castellano, hi, good evening. I am trying to make a formal request to the email that I sent you that I asked for you to please share with the other Board of Education members in regards to a suggestion of being able to show additional support to the senior class of Egg Harbor Township High School by providing a yearbook to each student, so that in the efforts that school is classmates. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Yes, thank you, Sonia, very much. It's a wonderful suggestion. I did share that with the board. I think what we're prepared to say at this point is we are certainly interested and are actively looking at what we can do for our seniors, our 8th graders as well. So that's a wonderful idea, and we are going to look at that as sort of in totality with all the things that we may be able to do, especially for our seniors. We hear you, and we appreciate that, and it's a great idea, and we're going to take a look at that along with other things. Any other public comment at this point?
There wasn't a call during her call, but we will wait another 30 seconds.
Very good.
Okay, this has been on the screen now for them about 10 seconds. Well, I guess we'll wait just a few more just in case they want to call in. I think you're safe to go, Mr. President.
Thank you very much. Thanks to members of the public who commented this evening. I know we had a long evening. We had several comment periods. We had a lot of important business. So at this point, I'll ask if any board members have final thoughts and comments.
Mr. Castellano, Sullivan.
Yes, please.
I just want to really thank everybody that works in the district. We have the most innovative teachers. I have 2 children that are homeschooling here in my home each day. They're doing just really fantastic. I also want to give a shout out to the cafeteria workers. They've provided more than 10,000 meals, which is an astronomical amount if you think about it. Our facility people are just keeping our facilities up to snuff, and the grounds look beautiful. And also to all of our administrators. I know sometimes we don't always agree on things, but I think you're the best. Thanks.
Hello? Hello?
Go ahead, Mr. Ellis.
Yeah, I would like to, first of all, thank Mrs. Cruz for bringing up that excellent idea. People have to think about what the kids are going through. How in the world can you justify and say you lived a life of no project graduation, which I think is the best thing they could ever do the whole year. I like that better than graduation. These kids not going to have a senior prom, project graduation, graduation. Hopefully things will be straight by then, but I doubt it. So thank you, Mrs. Cruz, for bringing that up. Excellent idea. Also, I heard some people took a little slack from the lights on. I rode past 3 nights, and it was great. The kids was in cars, not, one at a time. They went past. We got to do something. None of us ever experienced anything like this. I mean, these kids are losing it, and staying in the house, you're going to start fighting with your brothers and sisters, or staying in the house, you just want to get out. And this is really terrible. Anything we could do for these kids, we got to do it. I don't think there should be a vote on it. I think we need to find money, at least show our appreciation to the kids and give them their yearbook. Do something extra special for these kids, because no one on this earth, unless you're probably 102 years old, can say they experienced what we're going through now. So thanks, Mrs. Cruz, for bringing that up. Let's give these kids those yearbooks.
Mr. President?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ellis. I agree. Go ahead, Mrs. Gilbert-Floyd.
I just want to say that, and here I am speaking for myself, but I'm going to say it because I think that all of our board members feel the same way. I think there'll always be a special affection for the class of 2020 because of what they experienced. And I do agree with Mr. Ellis in the sense of the fact that we need to come up with multiple ways to support the class of 2020, let them know that we feel their pain, and like this is something that, like you said, we've never experienced before. And also our 8th grade students. I know we don't do an 8th grade graduation, but we do have an 8th grade dance and festivities. So I think when we say class of 2020, we need to make sure that we're also inclusive of our 8th grade students, our seniors. And you may say, oh, well, 8th graders, they'll get a high school graduation, and I'm sure, I pray that they do. But just remember everyone who are having milestones in their life this year. But I would like to say that I think this is a question that the board needs, I would like to do something extra special for the seniors, whether it's, the yearbooks, whether it's the video presentation, what have you. But we also, fiscally speaking, we have to look at something that I think the yearbook is a nice memory token for them to have, but we just want to make sure we can look at other things we can do as well to support them. And I like to kind of put the question more so back to Dr. Gruccio, because I do know this: when you want to surprise students, or you have something special planned for them that you wanted to kind of be a surprise, sometimes you may not share everything that you're going to do out there to make it kind of special. So I just want to say, is there any part of the plan that the district already has in place that you could share tonight? Because I think that some people are under the impression that there's nothing being planned, or there's, what are we doing? What about our seniors? Did we forget? I did put a post on Facebook and say, I know that our seniors and our 8th graders will be celebrated. And I don't think we have a district that takes care of 7,400 students each year is sitting around just, with their, scratching their heads like, oh, what are we going to do? I think that there's planning in place and, at least tentative plans. So would you be able to speak to that tonight at all?
I can speak to some of it, Tamika. Quite honestly, I know that planning is taking place. I tasked our administrators, particular principals, to meet with their assistant principals and come up with ideas. I personally have been involved in budgeting and preparing for this meeting. Mr. Santilli and I have meetings lined up tomorrow, as a matter of fact, to speak with principals to hear what their research has brought to them, and after they've collaborated with their colleagues, as well as put out surveys. The high school put out a survey to the seniors and asked them some questions. So I felt it was important to hear from the kids. I didn't want to decide on a date or an event or, without their input, because as Mr. Ellis said, this is a time like no other for a senior in high school, and we want them to be able to at least have a little bit of a say. That'll lead our planning into a certain direction, as well as the May 15th statement by the governor. And, if he says come back, hopefully, he gives us guidelines as to how you sit, who you're near, what you wear, and all that. And then we can surely plan from there. But I don't want anybody to think we're hiding anything from them. We're not. There are ideas, and great ideas, being tossed around. We met with Jostens Renaissance. Ms. Connor, the high school principal, and one of her VPs, and myself were on that call, along with a whole nation full of school leaders. And Jostens presented ideas to us, and they started off with small schools. You could do X, Y, Z. And then when they got to the large schools, you could do X, Y, Z, but you're going to have to get creative in what you do, because we understand you're so large. And as you know, we're in that category, that large category. So some of the ideas of, the people have of parades and movie theaters, and, we're going to have to get creative with all that. 64 square miles of Egg Harbor Township, it's quite large. I'm game, but we have to get a definite plan based on the information we have to work with. So again, a lot of unknowns, but I don't want anybody to think that we don't have this on our agenda to review. Again, we meet tomorrow. I believe one of our meetings is about National Honor Society, 8th grade awards. So we have these little go meets with our principals, and we hear their ideas, and we brainstorm as to how we're going to do it and how we're going to roll it out. So have faith that we are talking and we are planning, but nothing's definite because we don't have definite guidance right now. But we have those plans for you. We will.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio. I wasn't trying to, put you on the spot, but I just think that the public needs to hear that. I think the parents of seniors need to hear that. I think they need to, just hear that and see it and know that it's being talked about, and that it's, it's definitely in the plan, and class of 2020, will not be forgotten. And I just want to say that putting out the survey to the high school seniors, that was perfect, because a lot of times we plan for children and it's not really what they want. So I think having that input from the seniors was excellent. Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up question to that, Dr. Gruccio?
Sure.
I know that you put a survey out for the seniors. Did I also hear correctly that a survey was going out for the 8th graders as well?
I did suggest that to the middle school principals. I'll get that follow-up information tomorrow. I know we didn't want to lay on top of the seniors because we have a lot of, calls going out and we have a lot of social media blasts going out. So they may be looking to do that this week. But I know the senior one went out, and it just wasn't a phone call with the senior one because of our system. We went through the senior English teachers. So the English teachers, relayed that survey to their students. So it takes a little longer that way. So we're going to, I know the results were compiled today. I believe the high school met with students today. So we'll have more answers tomorrow. They kind of know to stay away from me on Tuesdays. So
thank you.
Very good.
Mr. Castellano.
Yes.
Just one more comment. Tamika jumped ahead a little bit on I was going to bring up the survey idea also, so I'm very pleased to hear about the survey. Dr. Gruccio mentioned it at our last meeting that was going to happen, and I'm really anxious to hear the results. I think it'd be great to hear from the kids and hear what they say and their ideas. I want to thank in general, of course, like everybody is, the administrators and especially our teachers and the entire staff for what they've done for our students. But you know what I want to do tonight? I want to thank you, or my fellow board members. Each of you have great opinions and ideas and thoughts, and you've all worked so hard and struggled with the decision we had to make tonight. And I think it was the great respect that we gave each person. Mr. Castellano, you let everybody talk, as we always do. And we tried to hear everybody. And I think the comments that were made were on point. I know everybody wants full-day kindergarten. That all of us are concerned about our community. And I think it's great that we did come together. We had a majority vote, and that decision has been made. Now we have to look forward to this great decision that's going to be made coming on May 15th, and then how the financial decisions are going to be made over the course of the summer. So thank you, all of you, and thank all of our administrators and our great Egg Harbor Township school system. And Mrs. Cruz's ideas is really great. To be able to provide those seniors with something like that, at least they'll get it, and maybe we'll have an opportunity to get signatures sometime before we lose them altogether. And I think they deserve their recognition, and I know certainly the 8th graders do also. This is something all of us, and I know those kids 30 years from now, 50 years from now, are going to say that wonderful year of 2020 and what they missed. And I know all of you are saying, I thought Mr. Della Barca was here 102 years ago when the last time we experienced this. But guess what? I missed it by a few years. So thank you all very much. And I look forward to our next meeting and seeing you all again.
Thank you, Mr. Della Barca. Very well said. There isn't anything I can add. Are there anyone else, please?
Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Castellano, I just have a comment.
I had Mrs. Szilagyi first, and then Mr. Price.
Okay, I'll stand by.
Thank you. First, I do want to thank our whole family in the school district here, because I know it's been a lot more work than everybody being in school. And even to the parents that never expected to be a teacher's helper and to do this through all different programs that they don't even know about. But it's been a great thing for the kids, I know. You spoke about Mrs. Cruz and what she's done for our students. I just want everybody to know that Project Graduation is still planning for our seniors, and we want to collaborate with the district, and we raised money for them, and we plan on spending this money on them. So we're there, and we have our own plans to make, and we'll have plan A, plan B, plan C too, depending on where we are and what's going on. So, but I wanted everybody to know that we are still planning on that for them.
Thank you, Mrs. Szilagyi. Mr. Price.
Okay, thank you. There's a little bit of a lag in the process here. I would just like to say that we need to keep the great ideas coming. Keep the great ideas coming for our seniors and the 8th grade class. There's a lot of ideas that are out there, and keep them coming. I love Miss Cruz's idea with the yearbooks. I think that's a great idea. And let's keep them coming, and hopefully we can implement most of them. And again, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody tonight. I know it was a long meeting, and looking forward to next month. Everybody stay safe and well, and good night.
Mr. Castellano, I have one last comment. I just would like to say that, I think that if we do have a parade for the this class of 2020 in the in Egg Harbor Township, I do want to vote that we have Miss Sonia Cruz be the marshal for the parade, along with maybe the class president, senior class president. I just want to put that out there, Miss Cruz. I think she'd be a great marshal she would be a great citizen marshal, and then have a student marshal. That's all.
That's perfect. I love it. Any board members who haven't spoken that wish to say any questions, comments, thoughts before we wrap up? Any other board members? All right, I'm hearing and seeing none, so I'm just going to again, before we adjourn, I'm going to end where I began, thanking our faculty and staff so very much for the hard work and the dedication that you're putting in every single day. Our students are learning. That's so important during these times. We're feeding our students and we're supporting them. And I also want to echo Mr. Della Barca and thank the Board of Education for working very hard as we led up to this evening and this evening to put this budget together. We worked hard. Everyone expressed their opinion, and we did the best we could under very difficult circumstances. There are times in life when you simply have to play the cards that you're dealt and do the best that you can. And I think we're all doing the best we can in many aspects of our life, and this is no exception. So I'm going to wish everyone a good evening, ask that everyone please stay safe and healthy. Thank you all again, and I'm going to ask for a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Castellano, may I just make a statement?
Oh, absolutely, sure.
I just want to say thank you on behalf of administration, central administration. Thank you to the Board of Education for your support of this budget. I realize it was difficult, and people had questions, and rightfully so, and I respect that. But I thank you for your support, and just please have confidence in us that we will embrace the situation and anything that comes our way. And as you know, we're going to engage in whatever we need to engage in, and whenever we have to do so, all for the best interest of educating our students. And I feel strongly about that. We are EHT strong. We will get through this together. And as long as we are that team and we support each other and we're here for the kids, we're going to be okay. So thank you and good night.
Thank you, Dr. Gruccio, very much for that. And are there any other comments before I ask for a motion to adjourn? May I have that motion, please?
Motion.
Second.
Second. Acclamation. Good night, all. Good night, all. Good night. We are adjourned.